So the United States of America is currently working on making sure that its national security isn't compromised. As you guys know, I'm sure you know, there are many moving parts. You've got trade to the dollar, but my focus right now is on materials, which is kind of the bedrock of our economy. Without them, the U.S. will find it hard to compete with China, which we've talked about numerous times. That's why President Trump has signed several historic executive orders to protect copper production and mining here on U.S. soil. Copper is often called the new oil, and it is at the heart of America's future, and I could not be more bullish about it, especially when it is coupled with gold. I love gold. That's all I can think of. What is that? Mike Myers and what movie is that? Austin Powers. I love gold. Anyway, copper demand is surging while supply struggles to keep pace. You guys know there's copper used in so many different things. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, I am a full 10 on domestic U.S. copper production. I would like to see as much done here as humanly possible. Now, here's where basic and common sense supply and demand come into my bullish thesis. So, global mine production is expected to peak in 2026. We're currently in 2025, right? With a projected 700,000 ton deficit in 2025 alone. Underinvestment in new mines has created a supply crunch. Like I said, this is the time to get bullish and inquisitive on this sector and metal, meaning copper. The U.S.-China trade war has disrupted global copper supply chains. China, with its control of 50% of global smelting, faces export challenges. We will say maybe because of some tariffs, right? Now, Trump's investigation into copper imports aimed at bolstering national security is the leading edge in a worldwide revolution in mining. And I want us to truly grasp the scope of the opportunity with copper mining on U.S. soil. This is exactly actually what the administration thinks about copper. So this is what Lutnick had to say. Let me quote it. He said, American industries depend on copper and it should be made in America. No exemptions, no exceptions, to which Trump had to say, I have also imposed a 25% tariff on foreign aluminum, copper, lumber, and steel because if we don't have it, we don't have a military. And frankly, we won't have a country for very long. That is his words, right? And then he also happened to say, copper should be made in America. It's time for copper to come back home. The world is hungry for copper, but we here in the United States of America have an opportunity to have our own without having to rely on another country for it.
Copper is a critical material, and the supply of copper is vital to our national security. In recent years, we've dealt with a significant issue of the dumping of foreign copper into the American market. That significantly impacted the domestic production and manufacture of copper and copper materials. This executive order charges your Secretary of Commerce with starting the process to potentially impose tariffs or other trade barriers to prevent this ongoing dumping of copper and to protect the American manufacture and production of copper.
It will have a big impact. Howard, do you want to say something about that?
Do you mind if I read one of your truths?
Yeah.
So this is a truth that's about to go out. Like our steel and aluminum industries, our great American copper industry has been decimated by global actors attacking our domestic production. To build back our copper industry, I have requested my Secretary of Commerce and USTR to study copper imports and end unfair trade putting Americans out of work. Tariffs will help rebuild back our American copper industry and strengthen our national defense. American industries depend on copper, and they should be made in America. No exemptions, no exceptions. America first creates American jobs and protects our national security. It's time for copper to come home.
Giant Mining, ticker BFGFF, is the sponsor of today's video, so y'all check this out. Not only does it own a copper, silver, gold project in Nevada, but it also recorded its best ever drill intercepts in September of 2024, literally just a few months ago, with additional great results in just the past few weeks. This company is the only copper company I am bullish on right now. So on February 14th, Valentine's Day, on February 14th, Executive Order 14213 was issued and implicitly prioritizes copper as a critical resource. Nevada, where Giant Mining's copper project happens to be situated, has constantly ranked among the top mining jurisdictions in the world, which is why I am bringing this company to your attention. Giant Mining's balance sheet is now fully funded for its drilling programs in 2025. Giant Mining is well positioned to accelerate its exploration efforts and potentially capitalize on emerging copper market opportunities. This is great news in my view. The share price is down by 50% since early February due to market turmoil, so I am highlighting the company to you today for a reason. Giant Mining, again, U.S. ticker symbol BFGFF, owns the Majuba Hill Copper Project, a past producing mine. In the past 4 years, management and the company's geologists have actually expanded the copper deposit, and this past September, Giant Mining hit their best ever drill hole. Now, historic underground mines at the Majuba Hill project produce copper, tin, and silver from the early 1900s to the 1950s, including millions of pounds of copper, 2.8 to be exact, 184,000 ounces of silver, 5,800 ounces of gold, and 2,100 pounds of tin. I will say this again. All of these factors and the following ones are the ones that led to my significant bullish opinion about Giant Mining. Now, the infrastructure is ready. There are access roads, there's power supply, transportation, water supply, and ore stockpiles, processing space, and a processing plant. Do your homework, though, on Giant Mining, ticker BFGFF. SquirrelTribe. SquirrelTribe, are you like aware of how much we import? Like, we talk about it all the time, how much we import from China, Mexico, Canada, and numerous other countries, right? And also, let's not forget, we do export a ton of stuff as well. But in 2023 alone, y'all, we imported 276 billion, capital B, $276 billion worth of mineral products. Mineral products, not even like all that other stuff, just mineral products, not just from China, but also Canada, Mexico, and Saudi Arabia, which is ironic right now with everything President Trump's been doing over there, talking to everybody in the Middle East. The U.S. also exported $361 billion in mineral products, mainly to Mexico, Canada, and China. But what's crazy here is, think about the fact that we right now, so we talked about how in Oregon they found the lithium deposits, right? And then in North Carolina, we know there were also some lithium deposits. And there's numerous other places right now that are coming out with all these different deposits that they're finding. If we could bring all that production back here, do you understand how much we would be able to not import from other countries at that point, but also if we felt like doing so, how much we could also export to other countries in order to bring in even more money for the United States of America. So for me, this whole mining, whether it's copper, whether it's lithium, although, you know, I'm not a huge fan of everything going electric, but that's just me, right? I do understand that the feasibility of it for a lot of different companies and a lot of resources and things. But if we could find ways to do more of our own stuff, that would be great for us as Americans, as a country. So as much as I may not love fracking and all these other things and what it could possibly do to the areas around those areas, I do love the fact that we could bring all this back to the United States. So like the mines, like the copper one in Nevada and numerous others that have been existing, not newfound, but existing mines and stuff that closed down in like the 1950s or even earlier, you have to realize a lot of those closed down because they didn't have any technology to kind of keep them going, to help them find more or to dig deeper or do any of these other things. But now you have like so many different things that have been designed to help with that. So since the 1950s, there have been significant advancements in technology that have revolutionized mining, making it more efficient, accurate, and environmentally friendly, which whether you are on the environmental kick or not, it is important that we have a clean environment, right? So, where is it? These include automation, digitization, which felt like a very hard word for me for a second, and electrification with a focus on autonomous vehicles and, automated, because I can read today, automated drilling systems and AI integration. Additionally, low impact mining techniques like in situ, whatever that means, teaching and biomining are gaining traction. So all of these different things that have now been put into place that have come into existence since the 1950s is going to make it so much easier for these companies, these current companies, these future companies even, to open up these old mines that closed down for lack of production, because the stuff is still there. Like, we have so many resources for ourselves here in the United States, but because of lack of technology at the time or lack of understanding or lack of ability to get to certain things, it all stopped. But now that we have all of that technology, yeah, a lot of it's going to be AI based, but that's okay if it's going to help us get more out of our own soil versus having to import it from everywhere else. Like, I think it's great. There's 5 states right now that produce copper, is what I looked up, that produce copper. And that is New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Nevada, and Montana. But that's it. Like 99% of any copper that we have here in the US comes from those 5 states. So when you have the opportunity to find new ways to bring in more copper for ourselves, that's absolutely amazing. So then I was looking up this thing, and it was saying that China, obviously China, currently dominates global processing of critical minerals like lithium, cobalt, and rare earths, leading to concerns about supply chain vulnerabilities and potential disruptions. While China's dominance in processing and refining has been noted, both the US and European countries are actively working to build up their own mineral supply chains. Because like we've said over here, we'd like it to be in the United States where we are more dependent upon ourselves and not so many other countries, because we saw what COVID did to us with the supply chain issues and everything else. And getting things from other countries became a massive headache, and the things that we could get cost us through the roof, and prices went up. Inflation has been absolutely crazy. So if we can find ways to do more here on our soil, why would we not want to? Like, right? That's how I feel about it either way. China's export controls on some critical minerals, like those used in chip making and defense, have also been implemented, raising concerns about their impact on global supply chains. But not just that, not even just the supply chains. What if at some point any of these other countries that we import these minerals from decide that they want to use that to ensure that our military doesn't have what it needs to build what it needs in order to keep us safe? What if they decide they don't want to let us have the things that we need in order for our medical equipment to work, or our medicines to be made, or any of these other things? So when you have the ability to find ways in your own country to find, mine, or dig up, or whatever word you want to use here, the things that are necessary to keep the current situation of things running, that would be great. I am all for imports and exports, because I know that it helps the economy and whatnot. But at the same time, you have to realize that we need to be more self-reliant, less independent on other countries, and more dependent upon ourselves. Not only is this helpful when it comes to being self-sustaining as a country, like I was saying, obviously 100% is not feasible. It's never been feasible. It will never be feasible, but we will be able to get closer to that if we are finding our own rare earth minerals instead of relying upon numerous other countries. Because once we have those, we also can manufacture our own things with those instead of having to import them from another country in order to manufacture anything, right? But on top of all of that, it brings jobs. It brings jobs to the United States of America. And to me, that's one of the most important aspects of all of it at all. It's not even about just the minerals themselves. It's not even about being able to trade less in certain areas because we would like to spend less in other countries and keep that money here. And not even about the being able to export more to bring money in. Those are all great positive things. But one of the best things is that we will have more jobs here on American soil. And to me, that is a huge benefit to every single thing that's happening. Now, even under the Biden-Harris administration, they put in a lot of executive orders, or law was a correct word. So I had to pause for a second to look it up. It's the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the BIL, that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris put into place, which was supposed to help abandon mine land, the AML program. They had the AML Economic Revitalization Program, abandoned hard rock mine reclamation program, all these different things that they put into place. And now you have President Trump coming in and saying the same thing, that he wants to have more focus on finding the minerals here in the US. You have both administrations, whether you like either one or not, that are technically working to revitalize this country when it comes to the mining aspect and the drilling aspect and the bringing things in for ourselves instead of having to import them. And I think that's absolutely great. So personally, I'm all for these mines that are now going to be useful again, as opposed to put out to pasture, when the ones that close down, the ability to reopen them, because now we have the ability to go through and basically give them all a once over, right? And make sure that there's not more there that we could be doing. I think that's absolutely great, because I would like us to have to trade less in the sense of spend our money in other countries. I'd much rather spend as much money here as humanly possible. So that's that. Squirrel Tribe, thank you. I love y'all. Have a great day. Goodbye.